Good afternoon to everybody. Again, our apologies for the technical issues that we faced, but welcome to our 10th COVID-19 Social Enterprise Response Visioning um, uh, uh, Response and Visioning effort. This is our 10th webinar. And the webinar has two objectives. The first objective is to share, collaborate, and learn from colleagues in the social enterprise movement all over Asia on how they are responding to COVID-19 and its aftermath in order for us to contribute to developing a responsive recovery strategy for social enterprises in Asia. The second objective of the webinar series is to contribute to the efforts to reconfigure what we call social entrepreneurship SDG, or Sustainable Development Goal Acceleration Platforms. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Asia was about to convene a conference with the UNSCAP to actually to launch social entrepreneurship SDG acceleration platforms because at the time, the UN system had already made a judgment that the Sustainable Development Goals of zero poverty, reduced inequality, and sustainability would not be achieved in Asia Pacific by 2030. And they were looking for partners who could assist in the acceleration process for the Sustainable Development Goals. That's the reason why they were interested to co-convene this social entrepreneurship SDG acceleration platforms launching that we were going to do in March, which has been postponed to September. So in preparation for that September conference, we are launching this COVID-19 social enterprise response and visioning effort so that our social entrepreneurship platforms will not just be contributing to the sustainable development goals, but will help to assist in the recovery process of social enterprises. We are very happy and fortunate to have with us for this afternoon's webinar our colleagues from China, a country that is often misunderstood. Yeah? And we're really happy that Lanying Zanya, I'm sorry. We're very happy that Zhang Lanying, the Director of Sources for Action in China, together with Chang Tianle, Xiao Zhengyu, and Hao Nan are here with us to share their experiences on how they actually face the pandemic in China. So without much ado, I'd like to turn over the floor to Xiang Lanying, who shall be moderating and also providing an overview for this webinar on COVID-19 and COVID-19 in China. So Lanying.
Thanks, Lisha. Welcome, everyone. We are very glad to have this chance through this modern technology to connect with all the Asia people, our friends, to share our views, experience facing the COVID-19. And I am representing the newly established organization called Sources for Action. And this is outgrowth of a new rural reconstruction network, aiming to work with the youth to explore the meaning of life by looking at the ecological wisdom and traditional culture. So we hope that with this focus, with the wider sharing, we can build a network of thoughtful youth leaders and actors equipped with ecological wisdom and traditional culture, learning from both East and West. And today we have, as Lisa introduced, we have three speakers, one from the Beijing farmer markets, Tianle, and she will share what they have been done during the COVID-19. But most importantly, Beijing farmer market is key players in the community support agriculture network or movement in China, which is reflect that how we can bridging the farmers and consumers. And then we have a youth leader who is still the student in the Tongji University with computer science. And during the Wuhan pandemic, and he individually take the initiative to build a platform to bring a lot of information to serve the people. The last, we will have a Hao Nan who established the Zuoming Disaster Prepared Center, and he will provide an overview on the civil society's actions during the COVID-19. And before I invite the three speakers, I would like to have an overview about the COVID-19 in China with you as a background information. So I will invite my colleague with from Sources for Action, Gang Yongwei and Long Xianghe support me. So can I invite Gang Yong to share the screen about what we see, what we have done, the overview about the COVID-19 happening in the past 6 months, and looking at the China's experience in overall, in general. Xiaobao.
Okay. Wait a minute. I'm entering the another one. Sorry.
We just want to provide background so that people can get a sense about what China had gone through with different waves. Wuhan is the one wave, and later on in Beijing, we have another wave of kind of affection spreading. But if we see it's being controlled after a month, within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So we would like to reflect briefly about what we feel about that. Xiaobao, can you show it if you cannot show?
I'm entering the meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, and share. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is joint work by our team. So we just provide a brief overview and responses in China. So if we look at data by July 27, the total affected people is around 16.5 million. And the total mortality rate is 650,000. But among these total numbers, US confirmed cases is 4.4 million. And the total mortality is reaching 1/4 of the total, the world affected population. And the total number of mortality is 150,000. With the population of 300 million in the US. In China, until now, there's 87,000 affected cases confirmed, but there's 4,600 cases. So if we look at now, there's still a core zone of a pandemic. One is in the American region, especially in the US and Brazil, and Russia. And in Asia, I think India is in the process of that quite a high rate. And so globally, there's a kind of a different green lines, yellow lines, and red lines. So in the green lines, so it's most likely in the island, like ice island, because it's locked, and Vietnam, New Zealand, and China. And the yellow lines is South Korea, Germany, and Switzerland. Red lines, United States, Brazil, India, and Sweden. So if you look at this green line, yellow line, red line, reflect on the policy of a control, different approach or strategy in these countries. So in the green lines, especially we are very familiar with China, applied very strict control, clean up the cases to zero, control very strictly. And the yellow line, these countries is kind of ensure the medical system not collapse. So they are maintaining the medical system. But in the red lines, most of the countries use the hurdle email approach, but still they're in the red line, like Sweden and US. Next page. And if we look at that, the trends in the affected cases, comparing the US and China, so we could see in the US is kind of become like a normal, but the outbreak again, the second wave of go higher and higher is after the return back to work. The previous lockdown a little bit, but after resuming the work, it's go up and up. But it's kind of every time it's go up. But if you look at in China using very strict control, Wuhan cases is very high, sharp, go up several thousands. But the measures taken control very strictly, not go lockdown, using the lockdown, apply the lockdown strategy. So after that, it's decreased gradually towards really controllable. So if we look at the lower photos, this is sources from Netflix videos. They estimated if there's no control within 3 months, 30 million population will be affected. They did simulation and predict if there's no proper measures to control it, around 30 million population will get affected. Next slides. So we see the impact. In fact, the COVID-19 probably comparing with the medical comparisons is not as serious as the MERS, or is only kind of serious than HEN, swine flu, etc. But we can see the seriousness, and COVID-19 is in the middle. It's not very serious and now, but it's spreading very fast. But the impact socially, we can see that and make the differences between the rich and poor. In the poor region, the data shows that every 100,000 population, the cases would be 232. But in a better off communities, 100,000, only 100 cases happen. So the impact is much more to the poor people. And second impacts, maybe we are not aware of, is that we only fear about the death. We only fear about this kind of getting this affected. But even the seriousness is after you got affected, even you get recovered, it will have a lot of impact on your lungs, your brains, your kidney functions, and your kind of nerves, because it will have quite a lot of damage on your body system. So the seriousness is not only looking at mortality rate, but also looking at this millions of people who got affected, and the damage to their health. Of course, impact on the economics. And we see that lockdown will impact on the economics, but if you the strategy applying different strategies, the impact on the economics will varies also. Maybe more serious, maybe better. Next slides. So China's experience, if we look at this, we look at the outbreak from Wuhan. The diagram previously shows that there's a sharp affection in Wuhan, but gradually, because of the strict lockdown, and the numbers decreased. Even in the second wave in Beijing, when it happened 10 plus cases, and it take a very strong measures to control all the movement of the market, all the areas that who have been went to the market, and so after 1 month it's got control. And also the time management, if you look at that, China looking at the Wuhan because of delay of controlling. So the experience learned is that later every case we will control it within when we find there's a case is 10 plus, China take very strong measures for 2 weeks, and whoever went to the place will have a 14 days quarantine. Whoever is travel from abroad to China will have a 14 days quarantine. So the time learned about time management, how to ensure limited spreading of this virus, this COVID-19. And during the Wuhan time, so whole city was locked. So putting the life first rather than economics. But of course, the supporting system for delivering the goods, the food, government was able to mobilize, civil society was to mobilize volunteers to delivering the food to different communities who are locked down. So whole society are mobilized to rescue this kind of emergency. So the third, we see that even the Wuhan government itself may not be able to manage it. So the central government mobilized other province, medical team from all the province went to Wuhan to support. And they also differentiate the affected cases as a minor, medium, and serious. So different build different hospitals for the minor cases, and with Chinese traditional medicine care, and heavy serious cases with equipment, respiratory facilities. Yeah, so they're quite a collective reaction on that. And NGOs, because all these efforts to trying to run the cities, so the NGOs also, a lot of citizens also initiated to mobilize the resources. So Wuhan 20 is one case then, and there's many other groups providing information, mitigate the resources where needed, and help the medical staff to travel from home to the hospital. So there's many supportings done by the NGOs. Next. So if we look at the Chinese, after we went through this 6 months, we look at that. So we are thinking the strategy we are taking is dynamic cleaning viruses herd, dynamically cleaning, so actively cleaning to the 0 cases, and comparing with the herd immunity system. So we are lucky that with this kind of a dynamic cleaning to 0 cases, and ensure less people got affected, we feel safer because less cases, and towards the end are 0 cases. So we feel the environment, the surroundings, the overall larger environment are safe. And tactically, the government take a 3-level responsive mechanism and 4 stages of anti-epidemic measures. So they have an earlier stage. So it's kind of responsive to really kind of community control. But if it is outbreak stage, it's kind of a very strict lockdown. And when we lock down, when we know where the cases are located, so there's a control stage, then the people who are living that areas will be controlled. And when we reach the final stage, so we will adjust so people could have a movable, go to the shopping cases, but the mask is required to wear in the public space. So there's a different stage looking at the pandemic status, serious or controllable or outbreak. So government using different responsive mechanism to mobilize all levels of government agencies. There's no differences at this time. Next. So from civil society, or as a citizen or as individuals, we feel that the lessons learned from Wuhan later on, in the continuation for the 3 months, we will have official data every day, information transparency. So both official and social medias like Wuhan 20 and also other NGOs setting up platform to share information. And this transparency bring all the information, help people to really mitigate their fears, because they see the trends getting lesser and lesser. And there's also medical treatment, integrated Western traditional Chinese medicine treatment for different stages. So we see the hope. So the fear reduced. But also this transparency also help to prevent the rumors and the seriousness and the rumors, which is make people fear. And second is that I think education. So there's often a lot of medical staff on the TV to share how to wash your hands, how you wear your mask, and how you can really trying to avoid getting affected. And scientists also trying to explain how to get a healthy nutrition so that you can get a strong immune system. So education is very strong as well this time. And I think at the beginning, there's some delay of reaction from the government. So later on, we see a lot of scientists play a very critical role. The government respect the scientists' recommendations, then take the measures. So this is very critical to listen to the scientists and medical specialists, their recommendations. So it shows that respect to science in the process of responding to that COVID-19. And we also realize historically, I think the last of 19th century, there's a kind of a rat pandemic, and in the northeast of China. So there's one, I forgot his name. He did an experiment and recommend all the people to wear masks. So traditionally, culturally acceptance for Chinese to wear masks. And also people when the Wuhan pandemic was very serious, whole country was locked down. Imagine 1.3, 1.4 billion people all stayed at home. And of course, this is kind of a value of the life, but also collectivism to respond to the national emergency is kind of a Chinese culture, I think, which is different from the Europe, that people really wants to freedom. So in the different situations, so the culture play a very critical role as well. So with that, I end with kind of background overview. It's basically from in the person, we are Chinese, we went through this past 6 months, how we feel the situation in China, and the experience, lessons we learned. So Xiaobao, do you have anything to make a supplement statement or information?
Yeah, because China, yeah, can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Okay. Because China have 1 billion, more than 1 billion people, the population. Because many people is not touch the virus, so clean dynamic cleaning is the very important, because if that suffer by the virus, this is a disaster to the world, I think so. So the government will be very, very strict to prevent the case to break out. Yeah. So this is very important. Another one is that our people is not only is to the virus. We have a free heart, because it's not don't fear about the virus, but in the outbreak in Wuhan, also the Chinese people also will be help others to recover the pandemic. Yeah. So this is the power of the people. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for Xiaobao. I think later when we have a question and answer, we could have more interaction. So so now I would like to invite our speakers, so you can see their kind of concrete experience where COVID-19 affect in Beijing. So I would like to invite Tianle. She is the founder of Beijing Farmer Market. She also established a food think tank, majoring to is a kind of social media about a food system. So she will share her experience and also during the COVID-19, how they respond for that case. Tianle, could you please?
Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share our experience with the COVID-19. Let me try if let me see if I can share the maybe damn. Yeah, I know, but it doesn't. My file, my browser doesn't allow it. Let me send it to. Can I send it? Can I send my presentation to someone, to Xiaobao? Okay,
yeah,
I'll do that.
To the WeChat, then Xiaobao could do
okay, it. Okay, so okay. Hold on a second. I'm really sorry about that. You know, everything in China will have a different version of everything, so we were not so used to the tools that our international friends are familiar with. Let me see how that works. Yes. I'm sending it to Xiaobao on WeChat. Xiaobao, once you receive it, would you please help me to share the screen?
Okay.
Thank you. So hi, this is my name is Chang Tianle. I'm from Beijing Farmers Market. I'm not the founder. I'm just an organizer of it. Been doing this for 10 years. The idea behind farmers market is quite simple. We want to support local organic producers to connect directly to consumers who are looking for healthy, environmental friendly food, and make sure that the agriculture transaction is fair and the production is sustainable, and we provide healthy, affordable food to everyone. Xiaobao, have you got my presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, is it possible that you share that with
10 seconds.
Okay. So today I'm going to discuss just a brief introduction of farmers market and why do we consider ourselves as a social enterprise, although we are not certified by any form. Then I'll introduce how COVID-19 has impacted us, our work, and how we respond to that. And the final notes will be some reflection on that. Yes, next.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, that's the outline. And next slide, please. So this is the farmers market today. We're very happy that it's more or less back to normal from last week. We can reopen our markets. As you can see, this is just a market with farmers selling their produce directly to consumers. But what makes it different from conventional market is all these farmers are small organic producers. Even though they're not certified organic, but we have a participatory guarantee system in place, which is alternative organic certification to ensure that they follow all the organic rules and they really care for the earth, and they produce healthy food. Next slide, please. So we've been doing this in Beijing for 10 years, and it is a pop-up market. Now we run 3 markets a week in different parts of Beijing. So Beijing is a huge city, so people can have access to these producers and their food. So we do it 3 times a week. Next, please. In Beijing, we work with about 30 producers, and we also have a national network of such small organic producers. Many of them are young farmers we call returnee farmers, which means they were from a village, their parents were farmers, but they received a good education, usually go to a college in city, even find some jobs there afterwards. But in the end, they decided to go back to their village and become a farmer, but they want to farm in a new way. So they became organic farmers, and they want to sell directly to consumers because they want to be recognized by the consumers of their work, and also, of course, to be paid a fair price. Next. We started in 2010 by a group of volunteers, and we've been volunteering for 2 years, meaning we work for these farmers for free for 2 years. But then we kind of realized that if we want to provide a sustainable service to both farmers and consumers, we need to have a more robust model of development. So we look at different models and decided that social enterprise is the model we want to go for, because because we believe that farmers market is providing alternative business model or alternative services to producers and consumers. And to validate that service or to prove that service is valuable, we need to be able to make a living out of it. The business itself, the organization itself should just live on its own. It should not be dependent on external fundings. It should find a good business model to keep it running. So 2 years later, we decided to develop different business around the farmers market, including charging the farmers, having our own shops, which are very different ventures. And we are very proud to say that after 10 years, we're still here and we're still a social enterprise. And in addition to our usual business, we also managed to incubate some new social business in Beijing and other parts of China. and we even help started a non-profit to do environment work. Next slide, please. So this is an example of our community shops. The market started in 2010 and 2013. We decided to open our first shop. The idea is to have a community market, a community space to display the work of these farmers, and also to make shopping and selling produce easier for both farmers and producers. So this is in a very prime location in Beijing. And 1 year later, we opened our online business. And another 2 years later, we opened our second shop. Next. We believe that for social enterprise, we believe business should be like nature, or how nature feeds us food. This is a graphic I borrowed from a sociologist I admire very much. So very much like agricultural production, we need nature capital, ecological capital, we need cultural capital, we need social capital. The same is true with our social enterprise model. We encourage farmers who work in harmony with nature. We also work with consumers who understand our values and participated. And we also rely on our colleagues and volunteers who share these values and devote themselves into this project. And it's very different from other capitalist way of business. Next. That's why we consider ourselves as a social enterprise. We run very differently from other food business. For example, we let the farmers to set the price. We never bargain down the price, and we charge them a very small fee so that they can survive. And lots of small details, but I want to focus on how we respond to COVID-19. This is the last market before the outbreak. That was in January this year, and it's a big gathering, it's a big party just before the Chinese New Year. And every Chinese New Year, we usually stop the market for 3 weeks. But just during that period, the outbreak took place in China, and we realized that we have to do business in a very different way. Next. So starting from late January, we realized that the environment, the atmosphere has changed. For example, because of social distancing rules, we can no longer hold market because each market usually attracts lots of people. So that's no longer possible during the pandemic. And in the first 2 months, it's quite obvious that people are very afraid to go out, especially to very crowded places, including supermarkets. So people no longer, they don't want to go to the supermarkets to do their grocery shopping. And people don't go to restaurants at all, so which also means they cook more at home. So they are looking for a quick and safe way to buy their vegetables, meat, and other food. So we're thinking, how can we meet that demand? At the same time, we realize that we face a huge competition from giant online groceries because they can deliver to your doorstep very easily, which we can't because we are a very small social business. We don't have the capital to hire lots of the delivery person. And then that's the consumer side. On the farmer side, we find that some farmers find it difficult to leave the village because some of the villages have very serious lockdown policies that no one is allowed to leave the village, no one is allowed to enter the village. So they have some problem even transporting their vegetables outside the village. And also some producers don't have much help on the farm because their workers haven't returned from the holiday, or people don't want to go out to work on the farm. But at the same time, if a producer doesn't have very strong online presence, they also find it difficult to sell their products because most of the farmers we work with are very small, so they rely heavily on farmers market and our shops to help them sell the products. And at the same time, ourselves also face challenges of short of staff because some of my colleagues haven't come back to Beijing, and some had to stay home, look after their family. Some, especially parents, afraid to go out, so that they don't want to get the virus and transmit it to their family members. So we have serious shortage of hands as well. But we quickly reached the agreement among my colleagues that we need to resume our services in one way or another as soon as we can, because it's very important to build confidence among both the farmers and consumers that farmers market is a place they can count on to sell and buy fresh, healthy food. Next, please. So thankfully, we have 2 shops. So we use the shop as our base point. We don't want to open the shop every day because we don't have enough staff at the time. So what we do is we ask the consumers to pre-order online. For example, and then pick up on a certain day, 2 days later usually. So every Saturday is our pickup day. But on Wednesday, my colleague will issue an ordering list to all consumers who want to participate. And we'll tell them how much and what kind of vegetables a farmer can provide and how much they can provide on that day. And people kind of pre-order 2 days in advance, and then they would come on the day of pickup. In the morning, the farmers would deliver all their food to our shops, and my colleagues had to do a lot of that work. And the consumers would come and wait in line to pick up their order. So this is in February, probably it was snowing. Next, please. But that also means we have to change our business model, because before that, we just do a farmer's market. Farmers come by themselves. Or we have 2 shops, but it's much easier, straightforward. But now we have to deal with maybe 100 customers in 2 hours. And the farmers don't have enough staff to package their food. So we have to have our colleagues and volunteers, sometimes even consumers, to come earlier to package the produce, like showing in this picture. Next. And that's lots of work. And then we will help them sort out their order. So this is also another picture of us working. So each will get a box. And even at this situation, we try to be environmental friendly. We reuse lots of package and boxes. Next. Yeah, this is what a box looks like. This is actually a farmer's delivery. So the farmers will package their food and then we'll divide it among the consumers. Next. And this is also another picture of people waiting outside to pick up their order. Next, please. And our online business is very busy as well. This is also seen from our storage space that we send out a few hundred boxes each day. Next. So we've been doing that since late January. So that's almost 5 months now. And now, because Beijing is kind of the, so we managed to open one of our shops on regular basis, and we reopen our market now, but still not to the full scale as last year. So what we learned in the past 6 months is I think the idea of social enterprise is very useful and valuable, especially in a situation like this. I think first, to be a successful social enterprise, we really need to understand the needs of the community. Who do we work with? Who we want to serve? And what kind of unmet needs there is in the society? What can we do? And then we need to have a very sustainable business model. The business model that doesn't rely on much external support, external funding, but a model that is based on meeting the needs of the community. And also, the business model needs to be flexible enough to deal with change and shocks. In our case, when we can no longer open the market, we use the shop. When we can't open the shop on daily basis, we manage to develop a new way of selling food. And it's important to have a committed team. They are not hired hands. They are the colleagues that who share these values. In the past 6 months, I think all our colleagues had to play a very different role from last year. You know, our PGS colleague is doing most of the packaging, and he's our driver. He drives around the city to deliver, pick up food from farmers. Just give you an example that I'm lucky enough to have a very good team that really support the idea and really recognize the value and importance of working with, supporting these farmers. And then it's also very important to have healthy cash flow. I think lots of small business, even the non-profits, suffer a lot in this year because they can no longer have good inflow of money. But we're lucky enough to have very healthy cash flow, and we always have some reservoir of money and human and social capital to keep us going even in very difficult situation. Lastly, I think as a social enterprise, it's very important. I think what makes us different from normal, ordinary, common business, conventional business, is that we're always in solidarity with the community. That will keep us strong and keeps us resilient. Yeah, that's my reflection and sharing for today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks very much, Tianle. I think farmer market, Beijing farmer market adjust its services, keeping its flexibility and create a new model, applying different technology, mobilizing the volunteers, all this kind of adjustment really ensure the consumer can buy and the producers can sell, and this is quite strong evidence. I think this also demonstrates your past 10 years efforts really build the resilience with the local food system that bring people to strong connect each other. And thanks very much for your sharing. I think from the responding to the COVID-19 as well as looking at social enterprise development, your understanding is very insightful and helpful for us to see how the Chinese environment develop. In that environment, you outgrow as a very quite popular and quite attractive farmer markets. Thank you very much. Yeah. And now I would like to invite our second speaker, Frank. He has an English name, Frank, but he's still a student in the Tongji University with computer science. I think his story would be very interesting then during the pandemic. And he initiated with his colleagues, his friends, and established a platform, information platform called Wuhan 2020. And what this platform has done and what the role has been played through this platform, let's invite Frank to share his experience stories on this. Frank, please.
Thank you. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here to share my experience. My sharing topic today is using large-scale online collaboration to deal with the social emergencies. And my name is Frank. I'm a PhD student from China, majored in
Hi, Frank. I don't think I don't think we can hear you. Okay. Lanying, I think we lost Frank. Maybe we proceed with Hao Nan while we try to get back Frank. Lanying?
Okay, I'm here.
Hao Nan, can you? Hao
Yeah.
Nan, yeah. Hao Nan, who established the disaster preparedness in the year 2012, right? Maybe you can have some brief introduction. I think in your PPT you would have it. So I will hand over to you for you to share your overview about civil society's role in COVID-19. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Shall I start now?
Yeah. Please
Okay,
go ahead.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, could you please just see my PPT on the screen?
We can see it. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yes. Hello everyone, and I'm Hao Nan, and very thanks very much for invitation, and I'm very glad to exchange our experience and the lessons during the COVID-19 response. So actually, my organization is volunteer online volunteer organization from the 2010, and actually we really started from the Sichuan earthquake when 2008, and that is a quite a large score of the disasters in China. But I think it's the COVID-19 is another just the same score of the disasters. And then we founded our organization, volunteer organization, in 2010, and in Yushu earthquake, another earthquake. And in these 10 years, we become to respond more and more type of the disasters, and more and more disasters around the world. For example, we respond we have totally response total response to the disaster more than 120 times, mostly in mainland China, but sometimes we also respond to the disaster, for example, the cyclones and the earthquakes and the floods around the world. We began to have the formal response from the 2015 from the Nepal earthquake, and then we mainly respond to the earthquake around the different lines. And for example, the Myanmar and the Ecuador is another big score of earthquake, and the Hurricane Matthew in Haiti. We also there is a Chinese volunteer group sent rescue team there. And for example, especially the Sulawesi earthquake in Indonesia, and the same year is the Lombok earthquake. And last year we responded to the cyclone Ida in Mozambique. When disaster occurred, we just offer the information product to the rescue team and other civil society groups on the front line. So we just support their decision making with the information products. This information product include some initial assessment and some situation report and some community community need assessment. So this is for example, this is a map for the Lombok earthquake after it's 2018, and from this map we could tell the rescue teams where is the most affected community and where there were people need to help. But in this year, when we faced down to the, we had to face down to the COVID-19. At that time, its name is NCOV virus. It's a totally new challenge. We had not responded pandemic. We have never response for pandemic. So we don't know how to do. We didn't know how to do. We didn't know what to do, and we try to figure out in that situation, what we can do. So we just collected the information for 1 week, and then we try to figure out what the variants really are. It's a totally new disease, and I was a dentist from just 4 years ago, so I have some medical background. So we can just understand. We can just try to understand some mechanism of this disease, how it comes, how it spreads, and how it could be what the impact could the virus make. So at the end, just as the day of the January the 22nd, we found that this virus could make quite big scale disasters around the world. So we have to just respond the the highest level response actions, takes these actions to this situation. What to do is the first question. And we found that if the pandemic still developed, there will be many people, maybe at that time, maybe more than 100,000 people affected in Wuhan and the Hubei province. So if that happened, we need more hospital. We don't need enough hospital and the bed at that time. So there will be many patients, they could not get the support from the hospital. They had to stay at home. So we decide to, because I was a doctor, so I thought that it need to organize all the doctors around China to support that patient through the internet. We have very good international internet tools to support the people at home. We could do that. So we found new volunteer groups, just totally new, named NCP Relief Network. We maybe more than 1,000 volunteers. We work together, and for more than 3 months work, we just finally we have more than 400 pro bono doctors and more than 200 social volunteers, and we finally supported more than 5,000 patients online, and include more than 1,000 intensive person. Maybe this number of the intensive patient is almost 110 intensive patients at that time in Wuhan. And we have another group. They worked for the pregnant women during the lockdown in the Wuhan. And we try to collect the induction and from the WHO and the China government to made another introduction for the Wuhan people, how they could do when they're at home and they have families affected, how they can just take care of their mental health, and how could the volunteers keep them safe from this situation. So we also just offer the more than 100 oxygen generators, deliver the oxygen generators to the people isolated at home in Wuhan. In another side, for our own NGO, our own organization for Zhuoming, we studied nearly 1 week after the starting of the NCP relief network. We do almost the same thing with our response to the disasters. For example, we just product the 6 situation reports to advocacy notice, and we translate the 4 projects, and we have more than we do some hospital how to say that, we collect the need of the hospitals together and just offer the need gap to the rescue teams. That is another story, and it's very interesting in that time. The last half year is quite tough time, and we all went through a tough time, and we all faced the same challenge and faced the same problem, and we felt the same sadness. And in China, we also have the, how to say that, darkness time. So it's it's from the end of the January and the starting of the February, almost maybe 10 days. We could see people dying in our just the WeChat groups. We offer the help to the people at home, the patient at home, but some of them is quite they are very intensive patients, and we have had to see some of them just dying from beginning to end. So it's quite sadness days. So we have to find ways how to support them with oxygen, just for them to insist on the other days till they could have chance to go into the hospital, because the hospital is full, and there were no beds for about 1 week. So it's hard for them to just find a beds in hospital. This situation just take long for no more than 10 days, and then Chinese government increased the beds in the hospital quickly. We finally have more than 100,000 beds for the COVID-19 patient. So fortunately, most of our patients finally they went into hospital and saved. When we just call back for the feedback at the end of the March, we found that more than 19% patient we have supported, they have just go back home from the hospital. It's really a good news for us. So when we just look backward to the choice we did at the end of the general, what we did right, what we did we could did better. It's a lot of lessons. It's the first lesson is that first lesson is that we could hardly learn the others lessons from the beginning. For example, during our response, we found the guidance from the WHO, the lessons about how to respond comment variables in the Middle East. It's quite useful. It could be quite useful for China, but we didn't know it at the beginning of the COVID-19. So we decided to just tell all the world, tell people all the world, just like us, tell the other volunteer groups, just like us, that how did we match? How did we went through? What our lessons? What our experience? So we just collect our experience to make some reports, and we just take some the products about what we did in Wuhan at the during the January and the February, and we try hard to spread these lessons to people around the world from the middle of the March, and we try hard to just to help people to buy some PPT items and the ventilators in China to the country, for example, the Iran, Italy, and some countries in Asia. For example, the Malaysia and the Indonesia and many countries. We try to help people, try to help the volunteer teams to be prepared before they match the COVID-19. And we still try to introduce the situation all around to the people in China, and we translate the situation report from the UN and the Red Cross and the ACAPS, think tank organization, and so on.
Time.
Okay,
manage
fine.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is another volunteer group do the same things. For example, the bridge, we can just because of time we could just see how they introduce themselves. They said over this month we have received so much help from the other parts of the world, and have appreciated the it's too long words, so we can just read it. And the other foundation, the Jinko Foundation, there is also another network of the volunteers come from the social impact. They just collect the lessons and try hard to send it to the other countries. At the end, I want to say that actually I think that the virus, the COVID-19, actually is the enemy of the human rights, human being. But I think it's not our enemy. It's not just the virus. Our enemy is actually the isolation, is the distract, and that just depart us from each other. I think the only way to succeed, to just to is how could we just stand in solidarity. So it's the only way to face and to defeat the virus. So that's the end of my so that's the end. Thank you all.
Okay. Thanks very much, Haonan. So we can see from his sharings and originate from the earthquake, Wenchuan earthquake, Zhuoming was established. But during the Wuhan COVID-19, and they initially they did quite a lot of supportive role before the government investment for the hospital, for the beds. So they really kind of play a NGO's role to supplement that gaps. But later on, as the COVID-19 spread over the world, and his center also start providing support to different countries online, and also mobilize some resources for other countries. So thanks, Haonan, for all your efforts. Actually, he's just back from the flooding areas of China, and he is really busy, and thanks very much for you to join us. And now let me invite Zhao Shenyu, Frank. I think he would be ready for sharing without crashing his Zoom link. Frank, Shenyu, are you ready?
Yes. So sorry for that. My Zoom time just crashed.
Yeah, I just remind you to control the time because we quite exceed the time limits. Yeah.
Okay. I'll try my best. So.
Okay.
I will start over again, and I hope it will be good this time. And my name is Frank, and I'm a PhD student from China. I major in computer science, and I'm the initiator and the vice chairman of Wuhan 2020 community. And first, let me introduce the Wuhan 2020. We started half a year ago at 25th January as the open source project. It was aiming to solve the COVID-19 related information collecting and sharing problems. And when the epidemic breaks out at Wuhan in January this year, it was a typical social emergency because the government and people are not ready for something like that. So by the end of January, hospitals in Wuhan faced a shortage of all kinds of medical supplies like masks, suits, medical gloves, glasses, and extra. And they started to call for help on internet. We see a lot of information all over the internet, and it was really a mess. And the information was in various forms and spreading in all kinds of platforms. Like we can see help information in pure text, in an image, or in an article from hospital official media account. They were in Weibo, which is Twitter in China, and WeChat group, and Timeline, which like WhatsApp in China. So the problem is we have all kinds of information on all kinds of platforms. Well, how can we figure out what information is real and the newest? And how can we use all this information? Because if it's in an image, the long digits of the bank account or phone number may make you exhausted to use. So we started the project from our lab as an open source project aiming to solve three main problems. The first one is an identical platform to find information. The second one is keep the data up to time. And the third one is very easy to use. So we built a website which contains several sections like hospital needs, logistics, donation information, online clinics, and a hotel for medical workers. The website went online in 3 days, and the project got more than 6,000 stars on GitHub. Additionally, we are not just a website. We provide a data center so others can use the data too to make their own applications. So here is the button. Button is a venture capital in health industry from USA. Use our data to build an English version website. And actually, we didn't track the data usage, so we don't exactly know how much we helped. But what we do know is that we got totally about 500,000 views on the website, and some people in USA just use our information and donated thousands medical masks from USA to Wuhan hospitals. And there is a medical supplier in Europe use our information to make a deal with Wuhan hospital for more than 1 billion RMB medical supplies. And after that, we held a global hackathon, like a coding contest online called Hack for Wuhan. And we want to use technical power against the epidemic. More than 900 participants from 33 countries all over the world joined the hackathon, and we got sponsorship from almost all the top technical companies all over the world, like IBM, Red Hat, AWS, Microsoft, Tencent, Alibaba, and Extra. In the end, we reward more than 100,000 RMB, which is about 20,000 US dollars resources to the winning teams to help them to continue develop and maintain their projects. And up to now, we have more than 4,000 volunteers in our Slack channel and a community website with 6 languages, all built by volunteers. And in a government report from the MIIT, which is Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, referred Wuhan 2020 as the most efficient community, which has more than 1,000 active volunteers. But how can we do that? How can we gather thousands of volunteers and collaborate in so many platforms in such a short time? It's also really stunning to ourselves. So as you can see, we have a lot of platforms to collaborate on, like GitHub, Git, Slack, online docs, a mail service, and WeChat. And also we have many cloud services, resources like Alibaba, Tencent, Zhendong, AWS, and Microsoft. So when we look back, we realize that several tools we built for our community play a very important role in the work. Actually, volunteers can join us on the instant messaging app like WeChat, and they can make friends with our chat robot, and our chat robots will send you our SOP documents, which is standard operating procedure documents, and you can chat with the robot to choose your skill and your interest. It will assign you into different channels and platforms. So here is the volunteer diversion by the chat robot automatically. And on the online docs platform, we have multiple access management, which means some volunteer can collect information on the internet, and some can tap into the data sheet, and some can verify the data. And we have multi-layer data sheet, which means there are lots of local volunteer teams actually on ground collect data directly from hospitals. So they can update their information in their own data sheet, and we can integrate the data into ours seamlessly to overwrite our own data to make sure the data is up to time. And there is a program to do some data auto-sync work between platforms. Besides, it will pass and enhance the information, like it will pass the phone number, the bank account, and even add the coordinates to the address automatically, which will make the information much easier to use. And our coding platform, which is GitHub, we have a robot to manage access to, and it makes volunteers can claim tasks by themselves rather than assign to them. So it is very much easier to handle the community. And of course, we have scripts to make sure projects can be deployed automatically through cloud service. In the end, people can easily use the information on our websites, like they can click here to open the address in a map application like Google Maps, and they can click here to copy the address if you need to fill in other tables, and you can click the phone number to make a call directly. And you can click here to to see the data source to make sure you can trust the data. And also you can copy the bank account to make a donation. That's very important. Actually, as we know in economics, institutional cost is very essential to enterprise efficiency. So actually, all what we did here is to reduce the institutional cost in our community and make the organization work smoothly. So here are some new insights. Actually, we think there are 3 trends for open organizations like Wuhan 2020. The first one is staff flows and the boundary blurs. Actually, people come and go, volunteers, they have time, they contribute, and they don't have time, they just quit. And we also collaborate with many other teams, so the boundary is really blurs. That means we face some challenges like access management, like we need really good SOP, which is standard operating procedure, to make sure volunteers can get work very easily. And the second one is online collaboration. It will be very, very popular, especially in the post-academic era. And it also gives us some challenge. That means we have to handle the cross-platform management. And the third trend is digitalization, which means we can use some IT technology to automate our daily work, which means we can use some BPA software or RPA software to help us to handle the daily work of our organization. Actually, we think open organization may transfer to social enterprise. Actually, we are very new to social enterprise here, but I think if the community internal institutional cost is much less than the social value it makes, so we may transfer to social enterprise. So we started to develop a new tool or a new platform to help organizations to manage their processes online, like open source projects and NGO, NPOs, of course. The institutional costs will be reduced to a very low level, so the collaboration will be quite efficient to help governments and people to deal with the situation in time. And we hope the cloud platform can be delivered soon for all the open organizations in an open source way this year for public good. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks very much for Shengyu. And as a young youth, he applied his knowledge and skills in the university and actively to respond the needs during the COVID-19. So we can see the IT technology play a very important role in fighting against COVID-19. I think thanks for your sharing. We really want to see how your community is growing. We will keep watching and trying to get to know more about yours. And I think since the time limits, and maybe as a moderator, I would suggest, since Tianle is answering the questions specific to her question, and there's one question to Haonan, but I think it is applied to all the 3. Probably we will use maximum 2 minutes each to say how you are working relations with the government and in fighting against COVID-19, and also in general your organization's relations with the government. Especially, I think that's most people would like to know from outside. So so we will ask you to answer the question. Would Tianle be the first?
Okay, my answer is very straightforward. No, we don't deal with the government. We're very happy that they leave us alone, minding our own business. So that's my answer.
So yours independent business. So
Yes.
you deal with the kind of food safety agencies, everything, but not working with the government, right? Yeah.
No, we don't. Yeah, we not directly with the government as a social enterprise, but um, when when there was an outbreak in food market in Beijing last month, the government was very cautious about it. Actually, from the February, we received lots of warnings and notices from the government to tell us what to do, how to run a business in a safe way. You know, we are asked to put masks, we are asked to measure customers' temperatures. It applies to all small business. We have to be very careful. Yeah, actually, after the second wave of virus hit Beijing last month, also because it happens in a wholesale market, the government actually provides free testing for all employees in food business. So all my colleagues actually went for a free test, and of course we're all negative.
Okay, thank you. How now would you like to say, because you are in a relatively spreading over both national and international. So what's your relations working with the government as an NGO, especially for the disaster preparedness, relief and preparedness?
Actually, we have very good situation, good relationship with the government department, and actually we are the bridge between the government and the NGOs in China. But in this new situation, in this new response, there are quite different background, and because of the emergency management department is not included into this response, COVID-19 response in China. It's not their business. So my relationship with the government is useless in this response. And the other side is that actually there are maybe thousands of volunteer groups, and they really have a big power to just supply the PPE items and do other mutual works. And as the situation all around the world in each country, we found every country has their own mutual volunteer groups. Nearly every country they have their own volunteer organizations, and in China also we have more than thousands of, just like in the earthquake of the 2008, and they just they just donated more than, I think, more than $10 billion PPE items, and that is really a huge number, really a huge number. And the traditional NGOs in China, maybe just 10% of that. Maybe we do not have exactly the number for now, but most of the donation is come from the volunteer groups. So that is quite unusual. It's quite unusual. So we did not face the pressure from the government. Also, we did not have the help of the government. We just did all the works all by ourselves.
See you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for your sharing, Hao Nan. How about Shen Yu, as a student? Yeah.
Yes, actually, Wuhan 2020 doesn't have any relation with the government, but our lab has the relation with the government, because my research area is about social collaboration, and so we are working with MIT to establish some standard, like how to assessment open organizations work, like how to assessment volunteers work, like something like that. But for Wuhan 2020, we don't involve many, yes.
Okay, thanks, Frank. And I think with today's sharing, we have one really from the really community level, like Beijing Farmers Market. We can see how resilient would be by their hard work in the past 10 years to build a local food system. So we also see localization is a trend or is kind of direction for all the peoples to think about. The resilience would be resides in that, because you build a community relationship with all the consumer producers and also all the people looking for the as a food as a thread. I think this is really demonstrate the localization importance of localization. And thanks for Tianle's efforts in the past 10 years, organizer and also manager and also volunteer. So really salute to your work. And I think for Haonan, I think he's a medical doctor, so derived from the earthquake, Wenchuan earthquake. His disaster prepared center applied quite with their technical specialty, really could respond both nationally and also internationally. And but from Haonan's case and also Shenyu's case, we can see how IT technology play a key role. And this is really, with especially facing COVID-19, we cannot really gather together. So the technology, internet, play a role, and also students and NGOs, government, all are by looking at the social mobilization, information sharing, tracking system to ensure the safety, and kind of food, transportation, everything mobilized by the IT. So in China, the IT, the internet play we see the importance role in that. And I think third, from the cases as well as the our experience, social mobilizations are quite strong. So as Haonan said, and also for the even from Beijing market, volunteer mobilization, and from resources mobilization, medical system, everything. Social mobilizations is not per se the government mobilize the whole system, but society also. So social participation in China is very strong, as billions of volunteers, billions of money donated, even overseas donate masks and facilities to China during the Wuhan, but later on also outflow to other countries. So social mobilization, so social participation is very kind of strong in China. And lastly, I would feel that from these three cases, we feel in whatever forms you have a space to work facing the emergency, especially for the COVID-19. So from individual, from NGOs, from social enterprise, and also from medical, whatever. And you have a way to contribute. You have a way to contribute. You have a space to work on the issues. And so I hope this is the start for us to interact with Asia Social Enterprise, the network. And thanks for all of you to join, to participate. Thanks for the three speakers to bring all the different perspectives for us to better understand about the way of working in China, and also the government, the overall view. And also thanks for ASEA to have this platform for us to share. And also thanks for our team, Xiaobao and Longxiang, to facilitate, coordinate, as well as the team from ASEA. And now I turned over to Lisa.
Thank you very
all.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Laning. That has been sharing that has been very heartwarming. heartwarming solidarity responses, I must say, from the social sector in China. And the only thing I can add actually to what you shared in terms of summary is it looks like there's some potential for social enterprises and social entrepreneurship to provide sustainability perspectives, no, to social mobilization, volunteer mobilization, and making IT more responsive to people's needs. Yeah. So I think we have this is a good start, I think, of our sharing and partnership, and we look forward to more sharing and partnership in the future. So incidentally, Rural Reconstruction China, which actually was the organization that spurred the sources for action that Lan Ying was talking about, is one of the lead organizations together with the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement for launching our social entrepreneurship SDG acceleration platforms on rural regeneration, social entrepreneurship, and youth. Yeah. And we look forward to a partnership that is fruitful. And incidentally, I'd like to also thank the participants who have stayed until now, till the end, including actually Ambassador Chito Santa Romana, who actually has stayed during the whole time during the webinar. So thank you very much to everyone for joining the webinar. And I would just like to invite everyone again on August 4 at 4 to 6 p.m. We're going to, this is actually the last webinar that we are going to be having for this webinar series. The COVID-19 social enterprise response and visioning effort is ending today in terms of webinars where social enterprises and social organizations are sharing their experiences. But we will be having a synthesis webinar, if you may, on August 4 at 4 to 6, where we will try to synthesize the inputs and insights from the 10 webinars towards evolving a responsive recovery program for social enterprises as transformational partners of the poor, and also in defining strategies for building back better and accelerating the SDGs. No? So please join us. We're inviting actually all the presenters of the webinars in that synthesis session, where we will be sharing to you some startup insights, and then we will develop the collective insights together. So thank you very much again, and we hope to see you in that webinar. And in August, I would just like to point out that we will be shifting from webinars to roundtable discussions. So the roundtable discussions will be closed door because they will be trying to prepare for the platforms that we will be launching, the social entrepreneurship SDG platforms for building back better and accelerating the SDGs when we launch them in September 16 to 17. So for those of you who are interested to join us in the social entrepreneurship conference on September 16 to 17, please let us know. You can send us a message, and we shall surely invite you to our conference. And thank you again, everybody. And as a last act of solidarity and camaraderie, I'd like everyone to turn up your
camera.
To turn on your cameras, yes, and to show yourselves, because we would like to have a souvenir picture with everybody. So can everybody come on?
Yeah.
Come on board. Yes. So our
how can I make it all appear on the screen? Technical support.
I think there will be two pictures. Yeah. So
gallery.
Yeah, the gallery. So Gomer and Buds. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Lan
Thank you.
Ying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For all your
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much once again, and see you
Thank
on
you.
August 4. And I hope to also see some of you during the roundtable discussions and the September 16 to 17 Social Enterprise Advocacy and Leveraging Conference on September 16 to 17 via Zoom as well. Thank you.